silent killer. The scariest disease that our silent killers sneak up on their victims. Human papillomavirus. What are women's chances of getting HPV, also known as human papillomavirus, during college? It's a 60% chance. Let's say she sleep with 4 men, 1 man per year. That's not a lot, but her chances increases by 80%. Another shocking fact is that men can also get HPV. But what startles me is a person can be infected with HPV and not have had sex for a whole year, or she can only have 1 sex partner. Or, according to the Centers of Disease and Control and Prevention, HPV is the most commonly sexually transmitted infection. People in the United States will have had HPV at some point in their life. 79 million Americans are currently infected with it, and 14, become newly infected each year. The CDC also says that HPV infections are responsible for about 27,000 new cancer cases as diagnosed every year. There are more than 130 types of HPV. 15 to 16 are the ones that we need to worry about, and they are sexually transmitted. HPV is passed through genital contact, most often during vaginal and anal sex, but sometimes it can be transferred through oral sex. HPV infection, when the virus enters your body, it usually enters through a cut, abrasion, or a small tear in your skin. This virus is transferred primarily by skin-to-skin contact, having unprotected sex, vaginal, anal, or orally. It can also be passed by a mother to his baby during pregnancy, labor, or nursing. Risk factors for HPV infections can include many things. First, multiple sex partners. The more sex partners you have, the higher risk it is for you to get the infection. Also, if your partner has had multiple sex partners, the higher your risk is. Other risk factors are your age, weakened immune system, like if you have HPV, damaged skin, and even personal contact. Many people with HPV don't have any symptoms, but they still can infect others through sexual contact. Symptoms may include warts on the genitals or surrounding skin, or even cancer. There is no treatment for this virus itself. However, there are treatments for health problems that this virus causes. Genital warts can be treated through your regular physician, but they may go away, but they can stand dormant, or they can even get worse. And that's one of the main symptoms of it besides cancer. Cervical precancer can be treated because women go get their pap smears done every year. So that's how they detect it with us. But in men, there's no type of test for this. The only way they can detect it is when they develop these warts or if they get cancer. You can visit www.cancer.org for more information on it if you like. According to the Mayo Clinic, medication strategies are effective if you do develop any of these symptoms. Vaccines can also help against the strands of HPV, most likely that causes genital warts or cervical cancer. The human papillomavirus was originally, the vaccines was originally just for women, for little girls. Now, the CDC recommends that boys get it from ages 11 and 12 also. Human papillomavirus is the most common sexually transmitted infection. HPV is passed through sexual contact, most often through vaginal and anal sex. HPV usually has no symptoms, but can cause genital warts and cancer. Treatments can consist of medication and surgical procedures. Because HPV is so common and usually invisible, the only sure way to prevent it is not to have sexual contact and getting vaccinated. Thank you.
Oh, you'll have to escape out and turn it on the computer. that's off on that too.
A major change in the medical community tonight. The American Cancer Society and CDC now agree that boys need to get the vaccine to protect against HPV. News 4's Brittany Smallwood spoke to doctors about what they're doing to get more people vaccinated.
The vaccine for the human papillomavirus was originally recommended only for girls. Now the American Cancer Society says young boys between the ages of 11 and 12 need to get vaccinated as well.
It's a great recommendation.
The more sources of credible information that are out there saying the same thing, I think is really going to help drive this home.
Roswell Park Cancer Institute has been analyzing HPV vaccine use in Western New York and ways to increase the amount of people who get it. In the first round of their research, they discovered that many people weren't aware what the virus could lead to.
Was I think of a surprise to all of us on the team is that no one's really talking to parents about this.
In New York, about 40% of girls between the ages of 13 and 17 have the recommended 3 doses of the HPV vaccine. It's just over 21% for boys.
It's this lack of recognition that we are all at risk, our children are all at risk.
The CDC says HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection. It says 79 million Americans are currently infected with it, and 14 million become newly infected each year. The CDC also says HPV infections are responsible for about 27,000 new cancer diagnoses each year in the nation.
There are more than 130 different HPV types. Out of that group of 130, about 15 or 16 are important because they lead to a cascade of events at a molecular cellular level that lead to cancers and precancers, mostly of the anal genital region, but also of certain areas in the head and neck.
Part of Roswell's study going forward is to figure out the best way to get the word out. Reporting in Buffalo, Brittany Smallwood, News 4.
Thank you.